Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday afternoon. It might not be the happiest Wednesday for you. I wanted to do this kind of impromptu, no planning, live time with you to just be a voice of encouragement in case you are going through any sort of stress or problems today with recent events in our culture and in our country. So if you're in the United States of America, you know there was an inauguration today and different people have different ideas about what they feel like is the right thing for our country. And because I know that there were so many people that have a lot of grief around today, I wanted to just kind of step out there a little bit and say a few things that, I don't know, maybe you're not hearing from other people. I don't know. I just feel like I wanted to be the person to do it. So I want to remind you that, as always, remember this: the future begins now. And the future beginning now isn't just a little tag I say to make myself interesting. It's actually something I truly and honestly, oh, my light reflector, that might start blinding you. It might actually be something that you can believe, that the future does begin now. It starts now. And as we know, God is on the throne. And if we are on God's lap, we are safe in there. But I called this little teaching here, this little word, safety zone. And what I want is to help you feel safe, and not just know you're safe, but I actually want you also to feel safe, because you are safe. And I want you to understand what a safety zone is. So first of all, if today wasn't your thing, it didn't turn out the way you thought it would turn out, and you had all kinds of ideas of what you thought might happen, and that didn't happen, I want to tell you this: I so admire you. I don't want anyone to shame you for that. I don't want anybody, or you even to yourself, to like shame yourself or in any way say, I think I should have not been sucked into a fantasy. Let me tell you something. If you have an idea of righteousness, of some sort of a beautiful story, I feel like, thank you. I feel like the Father puts that in you because that's optimism and hope and righteousness. And I don't feel like that is anything that you need to be sorry for. We are writing stories of goodness in our minds, and we are living that out the best we can. So if anybody wants to have anything to say to you, you know what? I would rather be a positive optimist writing great stories in my head and wondering if it'll match up than a pessimist who's like, it's all over. We're believers, right? We're people of hope. Now, hope doesn't have an illustration. It looks different from what we will think. That's just the point of everything, is about trust and attachment with the Father. And if you've listened to my program, I'm Dr. Gould, by the way. If you're new to the program, that's what I talk about. We talk about everything from a relational standpoint. So I wanted to kind of go into this here with you a little bit, and maybe let's make a couple of important points and make some connections that's going to move us forward into our destiny and help us to remember what our hope is in. You know what your hope's in, but I want to be a voice to be there with you. So let's look at this. Let's go to our safety zone. What's a safety zone? A zone where we are safe, right? A place we're safe. If you are in Yeshua, you are safe. And you know this. You know you are safe, regardless of anything that's going out around you. And I will be the first to say that I always said I would never combine religion and politics. Like when I'm younger and had children and didn't know how the world worked, like I wouldn't want to combine the two. But as you grow up and you read the Bible more, you realize politics and religion are inextricably linked, because it's how things are governed. And how things are governed is how things are judged. And yet, you are an individual standing for righteousness. I want you to know that doesn't go unnoticed by your Father. So when we come to an idea of what's a safety zone, you are there. No matter what any other people that you've never met, that live in another state, that were elected by people you don't know about, in a way that you think is nefarious, like that has nothing to do with you, except that you're privileged to walk alongside and see the miracle that we cannot design or we can't picture, right? We never would know. So I want to show you a couple things and kind of see if this resonates with you. But I have this rock, okay? This was one of the rocks I got on my first trip to Israel. I've gone to Israel 4 times. And this was one of the rocks from the first time I went. So the first time I went to Israel, I went on a tour. And it was with Dr. Halissa Elmine, and she does amazing tours. If you're going to do a tour, Let me just tell you, you cannot go wrong with her, because she won't take you to any of the corny places. She will take you to the great places. There are other people too that I admire, that I know Valerie Moody does a good tour, and Bill Cloud, whatever, but I'm just saying, that's who I went with. I don't regret it. I feel great about it. And what I did was, every place that we visited on the tour, I grabbed a rock, because the rocks of Israel even cry out in his glory. And I really love that, right? I even would carve my husband and children's initials in the rocks with my little fingernail, trying to leave my imprint there in the tiniest way. But anyway, here's my rock, right? So when I go into my prayer closet, when things happen like today, right, I go into my prayer closet and I clutch on, and I have a bunch of these. It's like I've been 4 times and I've grabbed rocks everywhere I've gone, every time. So it's littered with rocks. And I hold the rocks, and I have this memory that I don't have. Have you ever had a memory you don't have, but you're just asking God to just connect you with all the people that have walked on these rocks, that have walked by these rocks, that have breathed near these rocks, that were born in the vicinity of these rocks, right? In God's holy land. These are people just like you that have been disappointed, that have been traumatized, that have been hurt, that have been betrayed, that have been let down, that have wanted good governance and not gotten it, have stood in line for the good thing and then got the bad thing. Okay, that's people. That's our earthly experience. And so when I pray, I hold on to these rocks like, okay, Lord, you are good. You are good to all these people, and you're good to me, and you're good to all the people. You're good. You have nothing in you but goodness. And so I remember that with these rocks, right? So that's one of the things. That's my reminder. But what I would like you to do today, if you want to kind of go with me on this, is to go to this safety zone, the place that you're always safe, and that is with Yeshua. Now, you're always with Yeshua. Of course, we're always with him. But I want you to get your feelings involved. Yes, your feelings. I said feelings. Because you were designed with emotions as part of your governance, not to dominate you, but a part to govern you. Your feelings are part of the equation here. So I want you to kind of maybe go back into your memory, into your feelings, and just go back to your first love. And that's what I was doing today. When everything just starts to not make sense, there's a couple things I do. One of the things I do to understand the world is the art of film. Now, I know not everybody likes movies, but I find a lot of enlightenment in movies. And for some reason today, I watched the event on television that wasn't probably our favorite thing to ever watch. I'm trying not to speak out these words, and of course, just wasn't what I wanted to see, and it was just disturbing. And it's interesting, I was immediately drawn to just plugging into this newly released movie, and I just watched a portion of it. It's called The Pieces of a Woman. It's about a woman who has a home birth, and the baby doesn't make it. And this woman is distraught. Anyway, I watched a part of it, and it totally affected me, because I think I was supposed to see that is the birth pangs, right? The death, the pain, the loss of this innocence, this thing that you love so much that dies. And the movie is supposed to go into sort of the bandwidth of this emotional experience this woman has as she tries to reclaim what life is amidst this grief. And it put me really in touch with, to the extent that I can as a human, just like this nation, and the way that this nation was founded in Philadelphia on brotherly love. That's what that word means. And to see this show that didn't match the words spoken just seemed so painful, like the baby died. And I remember I just was sitting there this morning, just watching this afternoon. I'm watching this part. The baby just doesn't make it. So you have to go on in a new chapter and adjust to your destiny without the baby. I don't know what that means, but that's what I was led to do, and I did it. And it affected me profoundly. And I grabbed my rocks, right? And I went there. And it reminded me of how much this reminds me to go back to your first love. Now, many times, maybe you're married or your spouse is sick or something, and then you see them in a sick position and it kind of brings you back to, I think about when we met. I think about how we never would have pictured X, Y, and Z now, but whatever, right? Sometimes jolting events sort of jettison us back to the things we need to think about and remember, right? And I would say our first love would be something we would need to remember. So when I go back in my world, just to give you an example of what that could look like maybe for you, is I remember one of the things, I don't know, anybody here cut their teeth on Amy Grant, like any of that music that resonated with you? Well, that was one of my big things, right? Amy Grant was one of my early people. I was not raised in any religion at all. And I, on my own, discovered what I found. And it was very, very valuable process, right? I went to Catholic school because it was a good private school near me, and my parents didn't want to send me to public school, and I just never really understood a lot of the things. I remember just kind of walking in the church during off hours when nobody was in there and just kind of looking at the pictures, I guess I call those the stations, and just kind of wondering, like, what does that mean? What is this whole thing about? But Amy Grant, right? So she has this song, it's called 1974. And that was one of now for me, that was 1988. Okay. That was my first time, my first venture into pursuing Yeshua and like, what is this thing? What is Yeshua? What is this? And 1974 is a song that she did where she kind of talks about her experience. And I resonated very strongly with me, the words. And if you ever listen to that song, like, it's from an album called Lead Me On. Such a gorgeous album. Just, I love it. It'll always be one of the staples of me getting back to that organic me. Those organic moments where you are safe, right? Well, that's where I was first. And then the next song on that album is called Lead Me On, which is the title of the album. Lead me on, right? Lead me on. If you listen to those lyrics, you will understand today. You'll understand the grief of today, the baby that God loves that dies. And death isn't forever. And who knows what tomorrow is? Who knows what tonight is, right? But going back to those early days in 1988, when I would drive with my friend in her white Ford Escort, and we would drive in Vermont, right? We'd drive by these fields of rolled hay, unbaled hay, just ready to go. It was a summer. We would blast this music and go to this humble little church out in the country. The pastor was from New Zealand. He had a fishing pole, pretty much his only possession, and he dedicated it to God in front of the community. Like was that guy, he was that kind of a pastor. He was the best pastor for me, and I loved him, Pastor Keith. And he was so full of God's love, and he was so full of sacrifice, but not like a fake loser sacrifice, like a real, true, like, I love God's people. Not like, you know what I'm saying? He was that guy. So I cut my teeth on this really organic, authentic, loves God guy. And when you go back to those times, like I was working in a nursing home. I remember it was like way out in the country in this beautiful Victorian old home. And I remember filling up all the milk cups for all the residents and just praying, just being introduced to God and all of the hope he had to offer me and everything that Yeshua had to offer me, everything. And it was a new world. It was like turning the light on and everything was in color. And it didn't plan it. I didn't plan any of this. These are things I look back to and enjoy. I want you to have that today. I want you to look back and enjoy. I want you to look back for a minute. The future begins now, but go to where you were when you were safe and reclaim that moment when you knew that you were safe and you were embraced and that everything is going to be okay. That is your place to be today because you are okay. No matter what, you are okay. If it looks like wickedness around you is taking center stage, it is. Center stage isn't where we need to be. In the Father's lap is where we need to be. He caresses your hair and tells you, you are mine. I've got you. You are mine. I'm going to shut my phone off because it only buzzes when I'm talking to you. So going back to these organic places in our world, in our walk, in our journey, right? This is really a part of you. The future begins now by going a little into the past, just like we do every Pesach. We tell the story of the Red Sea crossing to be reminded that our God saves. He just doesn't do it in predictable ways. His theater is not a script we would write, but it's better. It's a better movie than we think. You know, when you talk up a movie to somebody, you're like telling them about this movie, it's so great. It's so much less great for them because you talked it up than if they just kind of went to a movie and then they told you about it. Because whenever we have an expectation, we create a metric. When we create a metric, we want our God to measure it up to it. When God's like, no, I don't measure to your metric, you measure to mine. That's what a good dad does. He sets the tone and the stage, and he sets the numerical value of where we go. But we're busy creating a God in our own hands, and I'm not rebuking you. I want you to just be liberated from this, right? We don't want to eat off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, knowing that wasn't good that happened today. That was very good. If the Father allowed it, it was good. Watch, wait, sit, listen. There's something going on that you can trust. So go to your first love. I'll actually give you another example. One of the things that I think is interesting is there are different people. And I was actually talking to somebody just a few days ago. We were talking about outcome-based people, like goal people, and experience-based people. So some people are very about goals and reaching them, and some people are about experiences and having them. Now, I happen to be one of those people who's both, but definitely more of a planner. And none of this is about me, except I want to externalize this experience so you can go into your world and find this for you. So I've got my rock, right? And I want to go back into this memory with you. And I want you to do this. I want you to look into your world. I want you to reconnect with these moments that the Father has given you as a hug. Okay? Okay? So I remember I'm a massive planner. I plan things to the extent that to experience them, I'm almost not enjoying it, or I'm experiencing it, but I'm so much of a planner that I don't really enjoy it because I'm so busy planning it and making sure it's executed properly that I'm not really having the experience when the event occurs. So I'm really famous for that. But one year, I remember I was in Florida, because I live in Florida now, but I was visiting Florida back when I used to just visit here. And my husband and children had gone fishing. I had the day to myself. And normally a day to myself, like I am an introvert, I'm totally good with the day to myself. Like that's heaven for me, is to just have a day alone. Is probably weird to other people that are extroverts, but to me, that's like nothing wrong with that at all. Like go fishing, have fun, don't come back early. Like I'm good. And I had this day and I was like, what will I do? I usually sit in one of the cabanas that I would rent on the ocean. And I would just sit there all day with my poetry books and my Bible and my journal and my notebooks and just write and create and think and pray and just be, right? It's just walk along the beach, get shells. I mean, I love that. I could spend 48 hours in a row doing that with no sleep and be fine. But this one day they had gone fishing. And I remember thinking, I really want to have an experience today I've not had before. Now, okay, this planner. So I'm on St. Pete's Beach and I go to this place. It's called the Don Cesar Hotel. If you've ever seen it, I call it the Pink Palace on the Sea. And this is a beautiful pink hotel. Like you have got to go there. I've had a Pesach. We had a conference, Pesach, a Passover gathering there. And they have this amazing spa called Spa Oceana. And then it has this elevator that takes you up to this rooftop garden just for spa guests. It's got a gazebo with couches and all you see is just miles of ocean. And it's amazing. But anyway, this one day, I didn't plan this. I didn't know what to expect. But I was thinking I was having a conference, and I was thinking that would be a great hotel to have this conference. So I called up and I said, hey, I would like to have a conference. Maybe I could come tour the facility. And they said, oh my gosh, come right now. So I hopped in my car and I drove up there. They valet parked my car and I walked in. And I'll never forget the day. I'll never forget what I was wearing. You know how that is when you have a moment, right? And I walked in to this beautiful hotel. And they met me. Of course, they parked my car and they met me. And then they proceeded to take me to the spa. And I met with one of the event planners. And they talked about my needs. And of course, I ended up having the event, not for till the year. But she said, hey, I would love to give you a coupon for like a huge discount to have a massage. And you can just enjoy the spa and just make sure it's what you want. I was like, okay, I'm not going to turn that down. That would be great. So I took the coupon and I had this amazing massage back in the day when we could be around people. And I will never forget like how relaxing I felt. There was orange blossom in the diffuser. They were using, I think it was doTERRA at the time. And I don't know, just something happened. They took me up. I had this massage. I was really relaxed in my robe and slippers. And they took me up to this rooftop garden. And I was alone. Nobody was in the spa that day. It was just it was like a Tuesday. And I just sat there after this relaxing massage looking out into the ocean. And they were playing really nice music. There's a little fountain up there. And I was just looking out into miles and miles and miles of ocean. And I hadn't planned it, so I could actually experience it. I hadn't decided what it would be like, so I could actually experience what it was. And I relaxed. And if anybody who is sort of type A or like a perfectionist or anybody like me, what does it feel like to exhale? Heaven, if you could imagine. And I remember just thinking, I'm so relaxed. And I just relaxed. I just exhaled and I just looked at the ocean. And I had this moment with God where I just really felt like, so this is what it's like to be relaxed and to understand that everything is going to be okay. It was just one of those profound moments of my life where everything was going to be okay. Because I hadn't planned it. It came to me. It visited me. So today, when we look at the world and we look at our lives, maybe we stop planning for a minute and start experiencing. Find that experience today or tomorrow or this week where we return to our first love, that first place of safety, where it wasn't contingent on anything with politics or anything with a government or anything with a spouse even. It was just you and Yeshua. Because what proves to us more that our Father reaches us by becoming us and walking out all of the pain and agony and grief of this earth where the baby dies and the mother is left wailing like a wild animal. That's what I'm talking about. That moment is yours. You own it. It belongs to you. Keep it. And go there. Go to this place of safety with Yeshua. Don't let anything pollute or stain or crowd any of that. None of that can ever be taken from you, your experiences with Yeshua. This is your safety zone. Your safety is not contingent on anyone else's actions or lack of action or things that we think we can put together. But if you are righteously in your beautiful hope, putting together ideas of how it could be in this amazing story, you're a story writer, fine. There's no shame in that. When it doesn't happen, we let go and we yield. We yield to what it is. And in that moment, we find that place to exhale and be remembering the future begins now and Yeshua is here. And if God's on the throne and I'm on his lap, I'm all set. I want you to know that today. I want you to know that nothing can take that from you. No smug speech that was hypocritical. and annoying and disgusting. Nothing can pollute this beautiful place where you and Yeshua are, right? Like nothing can pollute this rock. This is in my prayer closet. And I shut the door and keep it safe, and it's with me. It's from the land. How many millions of people have been around this rock and have felt the feelings I feel and been disappointed the way you are today? We are all the same. We are all loved by God. We are all made in his image. He cares about everything. He loves you. And if you're in grief today, it's because you're righteous and loving. That's not for you to take pride in yourself. It's just for you to measure where you are. And my goal is always for you to see the attachment piece here. This is for us to remember that our Father loves all the people, but he doesn't act in ways, just like parents, when we were little and two, my parents didn't buy all of the toys in the whole toy store when they could have. That's so stupid. But then when you get older, you realize that wouldn't be good. But he has his ways. He has his ways of showing this world who he is. And we don't know how to do it. And we're not going to be planning it. It's just not our jurisdiction. And we don't know. But all we do know is that we trust the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind. And we love our neighbor as ourselves. Now, some of these neighbors, I'm going to be loving from afar, very far. And I'm going to be struggling with how I feel about them. If you are, then we're just one dysfunctional family, just like all the families. But I want you to know that there's safety for you, that the Messiah is safety, that he is absolutely safety. The Lord your God meets your needs, delivers you. He is with you. He is always with you. So go back to your first love. Go back to those memories when you were younger. Maybe it might have been a month ago. Well, I don't know maybe it's today. I don't know how you met the Lord. But go to that place. Play those old songs. Eat that meal you had the night whatever it is that's going to bring you to that place, right? And enjoy it. The Father is to be enjoyed. When we fear him, we really enjoy him, because what we know is that if he is to be feared, then he is powerful to meet my needs, which means I'm safe. And what your ultimate need is to be safe with your Father, whom you revere and fear. It's a perfect system. It's just right for you. Everything is just right for you. Everything that's happening today is just right for you. Everything you're going through, struggling through, crying through, grieving through, talking to others through, is just right for you. You are on the path of your destiny. Your future begins now. Don't squander a moment. Rest when you must rest. Work when you must work. Move forward. Move forward, because time won't wait. The days are evil. But you, my friend, are safe. You are not evil. You are not wicked. The Father delights in his relationship with you. We will walk out our salvation with fear and with trembling. We will. And today is just a reminder. The script is not written by us. We wish it was. We wish we could write the script. We wish we could create the theater and design the set and the costumes, or at least I know I do. Actually, I might go into the chat because I think someone just popped in. Let's see who's here. Scott Miller, hello from Canada. It's so good to see you. Oh, thank you. Glad you're here. Well, I just popped on unexpectedly because I just felt like today we needed a little encouragement, or a lot of encouragement from a lot of different sources, and I wanted to give you my brand of it. So there's my story. I hope that this has helped you, encouraged you, and in some way inspired you to not so much focus on what's out there. And you don't need to decide today how you're going to handle tomorrow and the next day. What you need to do today is handle you and Yeshua. Let Yeshua handle you is a better way to say that. Just deal with today. Tomorrow's got enough troubles of its own. But if you can just deal with today, get safe with Yeshua, Let him ground you. Let him surround you. Let him live through you. Let him grieve with you. He holds you. He knows. He has been through it. You're not alone, my friend. We are together. We'll stay together. And we'll keep meeting every week. So I'll see you next time. But anyway, remember that the future begins now. Bye.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.